Okay, hello, I hope you all are doing well. This video is video number 4, talking about Invention 4, which is also the Annotated Bibliography. You can find this assignment sheet on Blackboard on your assignments page titled Invention number 4. This assignment will be due Wednesday, April 29th, by email by 11:59 p.m. Okay, so this is in between peer reviews. So this is the peer review number 1 for the rough draft, peer review number 2 for the final draft, and this is kind of in between to help you with the research. So what an annotated bibliography is, and this is also worth 50 points, is designed to help you understand and analyze your information a little bit more and be conscious about what sources you're using and how specifically you're using them for your paper. So your essay number 3 requires you to use 5 sources in your paper, at least 5 sources. For this annotated bibliography, you are finding 5 sources, and these are the same 5 sources that you are using for your essay number 3. Okay, I want this to be very clear. You're not just finding 5 random sources and putting them in here. These should be the same source that you're using for your formal essay number 3. So this is designed to help you with that paper and with that research and get ideas for what sources you can be using and how they're relevant. So when you start to find your research, find credible sources. Go on JSTOR, EBSCOhost, the library tab on Blackboard, on the Jeffco library page. You can use Google, but I would suggest using the Jeffco's library page first. Trying to find as credible sources as you can. When I was sick with the flu, which now seems like a lifetime ago, several weeks ago, we were supposed to have a day to talk about credibility of sources, but instead I emailed everybody an assignment that a few people did, but most people didn't do, to talk about how to analyze a source's credibility. If you didn't do that, or you need a refresher, go back to that, look at it, kind of fill it out based on maybe a source that you're using or all the sources that you're using to figure out if they're credible or not. Do not use, BuzzFeed sources, Wikipedia. Don't find very kind of not credible sources. But there are sources that look like they're credible, but they're not. So be careful. When you start to find your sources, you'll kind of skim through. More than likely, and actually this should be the case, you should be finding way more sources than 5. Now, you're only going to use 5 for your final draft, or at least 5. But there are a lot of sources that you might find that you're just going to not use anymore. Okay, this is just the natural process of researching. You kind of trial and error, figure out what works and what doesn't work for your paper as you discover what your paper is and what your argument is. Okay, so once you have your 5 sources, the directions for this are pretty simple. The previous students in previous classes that have done bad on this are simply people who have not at all followed directions for this assignment sheet. So make sure you're watching this in video in its entirety. Make sure you're reading this assignment sheet and you'll be fine. So for each source, you need to cite the source. Okay. You're going to be citing the source and writing a 1 to 2 paragraph annotation that summarizes the source and explains why the source might be useful to your project. Okay, so right here, this is what you would do. So the citation, and I have 2 examples down here. These examples are mine that I've written. They are from 2013 when I was in grad school and I was actually writing a research paper about peer review. And so these are my annotations, these are my sources. So when you find the source, the first thing you're going to do is cite the source like you would in the works cited page. Okay, we've been doing citations all semester through complex book entries. If you forget how to do this, you can go in Purdue Owl. Go to the MLA format PowerPoint that I posted online on Blackboard at the very beginning of the semester. If you need help, please email me how to cite something. I'll probably end up having Google Drive, a shared Drive document for everybody to ask questions if they're having problems, and so kind of collaboratively discussing that. But you will cite the source as you would in a works cited page, and directly after you're going to have this paragraph. And this paragraph or two will do exactly what these two things say. Summarize the main idea of the source or portion of the source that is useful to you, and an explanation of why or how that source is useful or significant to your project, how it's going to help you. So the whole paragraph should not just be a summary. Okay? It should be a summary plus an explanation of how it could be helpful for your paper. If you only have one of those, if you only have a summary but not an explanation, that's not going to be full points. What I will more than likely do, so this is worth 50 points. There's 5 citations, there's 5 sources. Each source will be worth 10 points. That's what I'm more likely going to do. So if you have 4 sources and they're all great and everything's good, but you forgot the 5th, that's 40 out of 50. If you didn't do some part of, like if you summarized or forgot the explanation, that's not going to be those full 10 points. Okay, so you want to make sure you have the correct citation, and even if you forget something on the citation, this will be a time for me to comment on the citation and give you feedback. So when you use that source in your formal essay, you can make changes based on my commentary and then fix it. But if you don't do anything in my commentary, what's the point? Okay, so notice here, I say this article gives clear definitions of collaborative learning, a history of the topic, how it can be a social benefit, and truly analyzes the topic. This, unlike other articles I have cited, is not a case study, but instead an analytical article. Although data is a great source, so this is my summary, okay, only a few sentences. Although data is a great resource because of the true knowledge of the subject Boudouris includes in the article, as a whole, it will be a huge benefit to my essay because of the clear definition of history given. I hope to use it as a base or starting point in which I will follow my other sources from. I also hope to grow on his points on peer collaboration as a socially helpful tool in the classroom. So what I want you to notice from this is that I'm not necessarily saying I'm going to use this in paragraph 1, sentence 4, or I'm going to use this in my introduction. Notice that because you haven't finished your final draft that you don't really know where you're going to put it necessarily. Some of you might, but you might not know. So be as specific as you can, but I'm kind of vague here, but I'm as specific as I can be. I have another one down here, and I said this article outlines collaborative learning based on several different researchers' definitions. It defines project-based collaborative learning as a problem-solving approach, outlines collaborative e-learning, identifying individual task learning tools, and the use of wikis as collaborative learning. Along with a wide variety of approaches that this text highlights, it will also be helpful towards my literature review because of its modern date. Okay, so this is like more of a summary. Okay, so this is a summary. Again, only a few sentences. You could have more than that, but really quickly summarizing, this is what the source is. Okay, and then furthermore, appreciate this article recognizes that technology plays a vital factor in today's world of collaborative learning. I think this view will be very helpful and play nicely with my other sources as a base of what it is today in 2013. And of course, at the time it was 2013, today it's 2020, of course, but at the time it was 2013. So you're not necessarily, so I want those two parts of the paragraph. So you're going to cite the source and write a paragraph or two annotation, and you should have these 2 parts. So a summary of the main ideas and an explanation of why or how that source is useful or significant to your project. So you should also do a few other tasks here. You should have proper MLA standard documentation, so double space everything. Also put them in alphabetical order. So notice you're going to have the last name of the author first, okay, of the first author mentioned. So Boudouris, B, that's the first person I have. This person's name, which is very long and I can't pronounce, this person is going to have a Y at the beginning. So make sure the first thing you see is going to be in alphabetical order. This is the same format it should be in your works cited page for your essay number 3. When you go to do your essay number 3, you won't have these annotations. You will just have the citation. But this is to help me help you figure out, is this the right source for you? Should you be thinking about it a different way? And so on and so forth. Okay. And so also remember, I've been commenting on this a whole bunch. If you have more than one author, it's last name, first name, last name, first name, last name. If you have more than 3 authors, it's the first person listed, comma, et al. So E-T-A-L. Okay, so making sure you do that. Excuse me. This is a book. This is not. This is a journal article off of EBSCOhost. Okay, I think it was EBSCOhost. I actually don't remember. All right, so this is the annotated bibliography. Do those tasks, cite the source, 1 to 2 paragraph in annotation connecting these, and these are my own examples. There's not 5 of them, but there's 2. You should have 5 sources and 5 annotations, okay? So I'm going to leave this video here. Please let me know if you have any questions, and take care.